From Washington, this is VOA News. The United States makes a major move toward normalizing relations with Cuba, and the UN chief prepares to visit West African nations fighting the Ebola virus. I'm Michael Lipin. In a major policy shift, U.S. President Barack Obama has announced that Washington will move toward normalizing ties with Cuba and open an embassy on the communist-led island nation. Speaking Wednesday at the White House, Mr. Obama said it's time for a new approach to the U.S. Cuban relationship.
I do not believe we can keep doing the same thing for over 5 decades and expect a different result. Moreover, it does not serve America's interests or the Cuban people to try to push Cuba towards collapse. Even if that worked, and it hasn't for 50 years, we know from hard-earned experience that countries are more likely to enjoy lasting transformation if their people are not subjected to chaos.
As Mr. Obama made the announcement, Cuban President Raul Castro spoke from Havana, saying the U.S. leader deserves respect and recognition from the Cuban people. The two leaders spoke by phone for almost an hour on Tuesday, in what marked the first substantive presidential contact between the U.S. and Cuba since 1961. The move also came as Cuba released Alan Gross, an American contractor arrested in Havana in 2009 for bringing communications equipment into the island. Well, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is set to visit West African nations struggling with the Ebola epidemic. Mr. Ban says he's due to visit Guinea, Liberia, Mali, and Sierra Leone, the countries most affected by the outbreak, as well as Ghana, the site of the UN mission for Ebola response. Speaking Wednesday in New York, Mr. Ban said he wants a first-hand look at the Ebola response and to show solidarity with those affected by the illness. You're listening to VOA News. The Russian ruble regained some ground on Wednesday in volatile trading, but investors remained nervous about the currency's stability. Russia's central bank spent billions of dollars this week trying to strengthen the ruble after its increase in interest rates failed to stop the currency's decline. The Russian ruble lost more than half of its value this year, and on Tuesday alone it weakened by almost 20% before recovering about half the loss. VOA's Daniel Scharf has more from Moscow.
The ruble's gains Wednesday came as Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev met with the heads of export companies, including energy giants Rosneft and Gazprom. He urged the exporters to sell their foreign currency earnings rather than save them to help stabilize the ruble. Russian exporters, which are paid in foreign currency, are one of the few sectors of the economy that benefit from a cheaper ruble because it lowers the prices of their products abroad. Andrei Braginsky is managing director of communications for the Moscow Exchange.
I think it really depends on company by company. Those exporters that have revenue in foreign currency and cost in rubles, they're not actually suffering that significantly. For other sectors, the massive devaluation of the currency, of course, is negative.
Importers are among those most suffering from the currency's decline as foreign goods cost more. Daniel Scharf, VOA News, Moscow.
Ukraine's President Petro Poroshenko says preparations are underway to reopen long-stalled peace talks with Russian-backed separatists in the Belarusian capital this Sunday. The expected meeting comes as Moscow struggles to extricate itself from a currency crisis that analysts say is crippling Kremlin efforts to lend further support to the ongoing rebellion in eastern Ukraine. Ukrainian pro-Russian separatist leader Alexander Zakharchenko confirmed the new talks, telling Russia's RIA Novosti news agency that the meeting in Minsk will take place, but he said an agenda had not been fully agreed upon by late Wednesday. And in Somalia, President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud is named a new prime minister following international pressure to end the country's chronic political infighting. The president appointed Omar Abdirashid Ali Sharmark to the prime minister's post in a Wednesday ceremony at the presidential palace in Mogadishu. Mr. Sharmark's new post must be approved by the Somali parliament. He would be President Mohamed's third prime minister in the last 2 years. The previous Somali prime minister was voted out of office on December 6th after he engaged in a dispute with the president about a cabinet reorganization. I'm Michael Lipin reporting from Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.